Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of One Take because life has no rehearsal. Today, I am absolutely thrilled to be talking to somebody who is totally bi cerebral. He's got a very active left brain and right brain. He is a brain on computing, and he's helped me a lot actually fix some of the problems I had with my computer. And at the same time, he's a professional photographer, meaning a highly creative mind. So everything goes in there. And this is Keith Spurlock. Keith, welcome to One Take. I really appreciate you accepting my invitation.
I'm glad to be here. Good to see you again.
Yes. So first off, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. Keith has a hearing problem, and then, of course, like many deaf people, and I've had a lot of deaf friends, you will hear a bit of a different accent. So, you know what? Deal with it. That's the way it is. And then we're going to talk about some of the big changes, even on the hearing aid industry. But Keith, I really appreciate you taking also the trouble because I know this can be, difficult at some point.
Right. I got my closed captions on so I can read what you say if I get in trouble here.
And I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start getting closed caption because every so often, I mean, like it is what it is. I especially if there's music, I can't hear anything. So we've talked about the two different aspects, right? You have the left brain, you have the right brain. You're a creative guy, you're a computer guy, but everybody's defined at some point. And by the way, I truly understand. Everybody our age has gone through like 10,000 defining moments, and we have survived all of them. But there's always one or two that are like particularly important. So go for it.
Yeah. I mean, we get so many things in our lifetime that we've seen. I mean, it's amazing. Even when I go back to look at my parents, what they've gone through, and my grandparents, what they've gone through, I just can't imagine what life was like back in the, like 1800s. I mean, like, whoa. I mean, we have it so easy nowadays compared to them.
Thank God.
Yeah. Yes, yes. I mean, anyway, even like I watched some of these old TV shows, and I said, man, that's when I was like 1 year old when that came out, and that's what it was like back then. That's really. We just take everything for granted that we have now with the computers and everything and our cell phones. I remember, in high school or college, I was wishing I could have a phone, take my phone with me because I wanted to call that girl I wanted to ask out for a date. I didn't want to have to stay home and wait till she got home to give her a call. I wanted to take that phone with me, you know. And
But you and I were talking about the original 286s, right? So get this: when I was in the university, and I'm old, um, there were no calculators. I
right,
got my very first calculator as a gift from my best friend's grandfather who lived in New York, and he shipped a Hewlett Packard HP 30 or something like that. And then I actually created the campaign that introduced the Texas Instrument TI 55 and 57, I believe.
yeah.
And you had a similar experience. Why don't you tell us about it on the 286s?
Well, yes. Well, the calculator thing is pretty funny too, because I was in junior high, I think, when they first came out, and I went to Bodine's, which is now Macy's over at Dadeland, and they had them for sale there. And I was so fascinated that after my mom and dad and I went out to eat, they'd go walking through the mall. I went upstairs and started playing on a calculator. I was just mesmerized by them, but they were extremely expensive. I only did four basics, multiple, add, subtraction, division, and it would cost over $200, and that was like in $70 prices.
Yep.
But the 286s, yes, I was working in a hospital, and I had the opportunity to work with one of the first brain mapping machines. I did EEGs on the brain. They used to come out on paper, but the new brain mapping machine had computer with the 286 in it. And that's how we did our first, we actually recorded it to a DVD instead of on paper. And I also had the color map showing what part it was showing, different kinds of depressing, like bipolar versus monopolar and schizophrenia, stuff like that. And I actually started using Symphony on it after hours. So I would boot up into the 286 up into DOS and installed Lotus Symphony and started making my own little spreadsheets. And I actually did all my banking because there wasn't any Quicken quite yet, and QuickBooks had definitely hadn't come out yet. So I designed all the macros to do all my banking. I could type in a check and it put the number in, put everything in it automatically for me with the macros and all, and kept
Well,
track.
we also should tell people Symphony, which doesn't exist anymore, was the predecessor of Excel,
Yeah,
and
that's good.
Lotus doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So, but yeah, you and I learned on Lotus Symphony.
Yep, I did. And so when they came out with the 386, they replaced the 286 board with the 386. And those little macros I did that went tick, 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 went tick, 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 and just like 4 or 5 times faster.
Yep,
So it's just amazing just back in those days, especially when a new board came out or a new processor, it was like 2 times faster, 2 times faster. And that's
yep,
slowed down now because of the heating. They get too hot, they can't control the heat. So instead of being multiple twice every time a new one comes out, it's basically more cores and more
yep.
threads to give the
Oh yeah,
power.
yeah. So you and I met at the at a social media buying
Right.
class,
Yep.
and we were surrounded, of course, by younger people. Uh,
Yes.
but so you and I have been through a lot in the computer world, and
Right.
but you've been more in the computer world than I have. So right now, what do you think as the big tectonic change in the industry?
Well, right now, definitely is AI, artificial intelligence. I mean, that's taking the storm, and a lot of people are embracing it, and a lot of people are hating it. And it is a touchy. I mean, I was in the grocery store last week, and I ran into the lady who was grocery shopping. She had a University of Miami thing. I said, "You work at university?" And she said, "Yes." And she teaches, And so I asked her what she teaches writing. I said, "Well, what are y'all doing to cut down on your students using AI to do all their work for you?" And so one thing they're doing is making them write it down instead of typing it up. And of course, they could still copy it, from AI, but they're doing the best they can. But it's definitely something they have to work on because some kids in school they've learned how to reduce that AI detection. Like one kid said, what I do is I ask AI to do a whole report for me. I take the first two paragraphs and I rewrite it with my thoughts. And I
Yeah.
put those two paragraphs back into AI and I said, rewrite the whole thing using my patterns in the first two paragraphs. Came back all typed up, no zero AI detection.
Wow. So I haven't had that much luck. Actually, I used it one where it took me 5 different prompts to get ChatGPT. But then again, I'm using the 5.0,
Yeah,
which a lot of people complain about. So I might go back to the 4.0.
right.
So, well, as I said, you and I met on that class. You've continued, like all of the computer work. So, what did you do, or what are you doing with AI?
Well, to give you an example, and you can kind of take photography in it too. I was doing a wedding video for one of my customers, and I had all these specific points in the video that I wanted her to tell me what she wanted, what she didn't want, and what music and that kind of stuff. And I kind of just typed up this long, boring email, and I said, this is really hard to read. It wasn't really as detailed as I liked, so I copied, pasted it into AI, like in 3 seconds. I had it perfectly formatted with bullet points, everything. I mean, it would have taken me 30 minutes to type that up. So it is a time saver. I've actually used it to rewrite some of my emails in my business just to make it look more professional and to save time, basically. It's
Yeah,
a time saver. So you can either embrace AI and let it work with you, work for you, rather than fighting against it, And at the same time, I don't want it to do all my thinking because if it does all my thinking, then I start losing my mental. So I use it as a tool, not as a replacement. You know.
and
So
In photography specifically, the very last processor that I bought, it's called ACDC Pro 2025 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some one of these big long names so that they can charge more money. But the AI processing for the face is amazing.
Right.
It really is. Make the eyes a bit bigger, make the mouth whatever, make the chin this way. Are
Yeah.
you using it a lot on? I'm sure you're using it for your computer business.
Well, Photoshop have that ability to do those kind of things with what they call liquify, but
Yes.
with AI though, can do a lot faster. I mean, yeah, I can remember just 3 or 4 years ago, it would take me sometimes an hour just to edit one picture to get it right, like a bridal shot or some model in an advertisement. I want to get the distraction out of the background. I might want to smooth something, like sometimes they got the arm up against the body and the arm looked fat, so I shrink the arm down, and I'd have to do all of that and get rid of all the blemishes and stuff, and it would take an hour to get it all done. Now I can click, click, remove blemish, click, remove this here, click, click. I don't have to draw the picture all around the object. I do click object, it's gone, So it saved me hours of time. And now they even got AI coloring and AI editing that you just put your stuff, put your all 2 or 3 thousand pictures in there, and then like in 10 minutes, it got here's all your duplicates, here's all your pictures with eyes closed, all your out of focus pictures, and it just cuts them all down, and you go through them so much faster. Then you say, this is my style of editing. I want them to look like this. Click, and then after about 10, 15 minutes, they're all edited for you. And then I can put them through again and do like get rid of blemishes, smooth the skin, that kind of stuff. Boom, and I can do what will take me sometimes a week. I can do now in one day, less than a day.
Yeah.
You know,
I I think it's great personally.
yeah,
Like I still do a few things the old-fashioned way. Being like Wednesday night, I went to a dive bar, took pictures of a band. I think I wound up because I use the motor drive on the 6D.
okay,
It's so much easier.
yeah,
Uh, so I just use it. But of course, then you wind up with 550 pictures from a 1 hour set, and just
right,
and there's 300 of them that that are either bad or you just know you'll never ever process them because
right.
they're like forgettable pictures. But what you're doing with AI sounds, at a completely different level. But of course, you're a professional photographer. I'm
But
not.
another option would be to pay someone to do it for me if I didn't have the time to do it. And so it's definitely been a time saver. And I mean, you have to pay for the software, so it's not cheap. So, but in the long run, versus paying someone, like over in India, or China, or Hong Kong, or whatever, to do it for you. And plus, this way you have control over it.
Yeah, I agree, and I use it. I'm beginning to use it more and more. But and talking about expensive, don't you? Because I had a subscription to Photoshop at some point. I didn't want to buy it, and I don't have any problems mentally with not owning things. So I have Netflix, I have Spotify, Photoshop. It's the same thing. I mean, I had a subscription to it. Do you buy it or do you have a subscription?
Well, the only way you can get it now is subscription.
Oh, okay.
You can't buy it anymore. It's subscription only.
Because I know that was another one of the huge changes at some point with photographers,
Right.
where I was getting pushback from some friends who were professionals. Oh, you rent it? Yeah, $9 a month. Like serious? What?
Well, I didn't like the idea at first, and I still don't like it because, like, if you're not doing some big business every week and you're paying for a subscription that you really don't need on a day by day basis, and you might go a month without needing it, but that hardly ever happens, really. But I mean, it seems like the whole world's going with subscription. When do you run out of money? I mean, it's like you got to be able to recoup that money. So
Yeah, more or less. On the other hand, it was like $9 a month
right,
at that point. So today, for example, I'm gonna go have happy hour with some friends, Gracianos.
right,
Every one of those empanadas is 3 $3.50, right? So if I eat three empanadas, that is the cost of Photoshop. So
Yeah.
I didn't have a mental problem with it. But I think that that was one of the tectonic changes in the part of the photo industry that nobody ever gets to see, which is you need to spend hours
Oh
just
yeah. People
editing
think,
a picture.
people think you just take a picture and that's all you got. That's all you do. You push the button. It's a lot more than that. I
Yeah,
mean, and you and I come from the film days, so we learned to really learn how to, frame that picture and when to push that button because we didn't want to waste film. And we only had so many pictures. Like if you took so many rolls to a wedding, you didn't want to run out of film, and you just didn't go spraying like we do today. Some people today, I don't even really call them true photographers. They just pushing the button down, going, just taking massive amounts of pictures, hoping to get a good one out of them now,
yeah.
and
Well, my ratio is better. It's like 50%.
yeah, that's true. But I'm talking about for some stuff like weddings and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll take at least 3,000 pictures in a one-day wedding, at least, And if I was doing spray, I mean, just doing 20 frames a second for all of it, I'd have 12,000, 15,000 pictures to go through. That'd be a nightmare.
on the other hand, it is the one event that you never ever not want to have any problems is a wedding because after all of these young girls, how many times are they gonna get married in their lives? Three, four only. So you don't want to miss it.
Yeah,
You
that's
want
why
to see the
I can
pictures.
make sure my camera has two cards in it. So if one card goes bad, but it blows me away. All those weddings I did with film, and I never sweated it. And I never lost a picture. I never lost a roll of film, and I didn't, overdevelop or, drop it on the floor or whatever. I mean, just thank God, But I mean, it's just so much easier today because now
Oh yeah.
you can look in the back of the camera, hey, or look in your viewfinder, hey, a beautiful picture. I don't have to take another one. I mean, it just the lighting's good. The flash is correct. You know what to do to correct it. I used to wish there was a way to put a Polaroid film in my Nikon and my Bronica back in those days so I could see what the flash looked like before I got the film developed. But
Well, you could do it in the Hasselblad.
you could, but I didn't have that kind of money back then.
I know whoever had that kind of money. Seriously, I mean, like we all said, "Oh my God, I actually touched the Hasselblad."
That's
Like
why I got a Bronica instead of a Hasselblad.
yeah,
That wasn't cheap either, but it was cheaper than the Hasselblad.
yeah. I used Rolleiflex TLR
Really flex, yeah.
because it was even cheaper.
Yeah,
So listen on the few minutes that we got. So we all have faced age discrimination. That's one of the reasons we're all here.
right.
We've all been told, "Oh yeah, whatever, you're overqualified." That is the number one. Actually, I was just told that about 3 days ago.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody was looking for a media director, and I said, "Yeah, I'd be interested, on a fractional basis, not full time because I'm not." So some, oh well, you're overqualified, meaning, yeah, there's no way. Plus, like probably more expensive than they were thinking.
Right.
So on these few minutes, like let's say you're advising somebody like a CEO, somebody like that higher up about hiring older candidates. What what would you say is like the big advantage of older candidates?
Well, for one thing, they got years of experience, unless you hiring somebody who just wants to start out new. But I mean, if you hire them for something that they have experience with, they're going to have a lot more experience. Now, I know I've heard the argument that they're harder to train because they want to do it their way instead of our way. And there can be some truth to that. But at the same time, if you're open to it, you're willing to learn their way. So that you need to ask that question, and let them know that if you don't do it this way, then we need to find somebody else. I mean,
Yep.
but I mean, for the most part, you're getting somebody who has experience. And I think sometimes people are afraid to hire them because they're afraid they might lose their own job because you're hiring somebody that used to be a manager, and here you are the manager, and you've only had like maybe 6 months experience or a year or two experience, and this guy's had 40 years of experience, and you might feel like, I don't want to hire him because he might take my job away, you know. So that's ageism too, you know. Another thing is statistics show that the older people are more reliable, and they show up, they don't take as much time off. You know, I mean, young people are always looking for getting sick or want to take off or want to go on a trip here, or want to, I mean, they're not as dependable, at least from what I'm reading statistically. So we're more mature, so that's another reason I would think you'd want to hire somebody.
And we like to work from an office,
Right, yeah, yeah,
which is now a big problem for some of the bigger companies.
right.
We grew up working in offices.
Yeah, I like working at home, but at the same time, I'm willing to work in the office, and plus, I like the interaction. You know, one of the reasons why I have so many customers who keep me is because, um, you know, I develop a relationship with them.
Right,
And they trust me. They know that I do what I say I'm going to do, and that to them is worth what they pay me. Because if they hire somebody new, they don't know if that person's going to steal from them, or do something to the computers to make more money or something.
right,
I'm the type of guy that the computer is really old and it's going to cost a lot of time to fix. I just tell them I could take advantage of you and spend a lot of money to fix this computer, or I could take that money and buy a new computer. Is what I'd recommend. And 9 out of 10 times that's what they do.
yeah,
And they still pay me to fix up the new computer and transfer the programs and files over. But they trust me, and that's
yep,
coming to an office is an advantage. Now, there are times when I got a lot of customers up in Alabama where I used to live before I moved back down here, and they still call me. And every once in a while, I'll travel up there and do a lot of work hands on. But, when we're on the phone and I do work for them, it's not like, okay, I got to do the work. I'm done. Thank you. Thank you, man. No, they actually carry on a conversation with me, and want to know
yep.
how I'm doing, how they're doing, what's new up in Alabama, how things in Miami, and develop a relationship.
I
And that's
agree.
how
Yeah,
I hold on to the clients.
excellent. Well, Keith, thank you very much. This is Friday afternoon, so we can all go happy hour or something.
Yeah, yep, that's
One of
good.
the advantages of being our age, right? We can say, yeah, well, I'm taking off.
Yeah. Well, good to see you.
It's good to see you. Take care. I'll be
Okay.
seeing you around, man. Take
Okay.
care.
Good. Bye.
Ciao.